All right. Hey again, everyone. Time for another edition of Channel Futures TV. I'm Craig Galbraith, Editorial Director of Channel Futures. Excited to welcome in Carrie Tengler. Carrie is Vice President, National Partner Programs at Comcast Business. Carrie, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Craig. It's great to see you again.
You as well. So let's talk a little bit about the Masergy integration. How's that coming along?
That's a good starting point. It's going along very well, we think, and the feedback from the partners, I think, would testify that. I think we're getting a lot of good corroboration from the partners that we're handling things in a pretty good fashion. Shortly after the acquisition last year, we had a partner advisory council here in Denver, and the message was from the partners at that, and it was a mix of both Comcast and Masergy partners. The message they delivered to us was very, very clear. They basically said, learn what you need to learn about this company that you just acquired, walk before you run, and don't screw up a good thing. Masergy, as I think most of the listeners will attest, has had just an amazing channel program and really built a solid foundation of partners and the partner programs that surround that. And they were very clear about that, in that they'd seen any number of integrations go badly, in years past. And that was really the message. You both got great programs, take advantage of that and don't screw things up. So message received from the partners. And I think we've done a pretty adequate job of moving that forward.
Good to hear. Good to hear. All right. So now that we've got that established, what's in store for Comcast Business and Masergy in 2023?
Well, I think what you'll see is continued integration of the two organizations. The channel organization was really the first organization across the company that got integrated. So we really have been on the tip of the spear. And I think as we've gotten into this, one of the things that we've been trying to reinforce, both internally to the Masergy, kind of the legacy Masergy employees, as well as the partner community, is that we are doubling down on the investment. I think if you kind of look back over the last couple of years, Masergy had been a little bit starved by their previous owners and weren't really able to fill a lot of open headcounts and things like that. So Comcast really dug in. I think the day after the acquisition, we put 30 new heads on the books for them. And subsequent to that, we've added another 70 or 80 heads, almost all of them around really critical areas where they had really been, again, kind of starved for the headcount. And that is in the areas of the NOC, the SOC, and the project management and implementation team. So, we're continuing to see improvements there from the standpoint of service delivery. We've made an enormous investment in terms of the channel program itself, in terms of various promotions, MDF and spiffs and bonus programs. So we've gotten a really good response from the partners there. I think what you'll start to see more differently going forward is a lot more collaboration on the product and kind of back office side of the business. So we're really, beginning to see a lot of very good synergy between the two product organizations, kind of looking at what the next stage of both the security and the SD-WAN type of solutions that we're going to be delivering are bringing to bear.
All right, Carrie, so very well the partner community is pretty vocal about channel conflict with their suppliers. So how has the Comcast Business and Masergy program addressed that concern?
The big, kind of 800-pound gorilla in the room on the Comcast side of the business has historically been teaming. Quite frankly, going back several years, we were not terribly teaming friendly. We've got a very large direct organization. And I think what I would say there is that we've made significant progress on the Comcast business side of the fence over the last several years, like literally doubling or tripling the amount of business we're doing in a teaming fashion with our direct organization and the partners. The Masergy integration has really kind of opened our eyes up, I think, more broadly across the organization. And now I think our direct sales team and our finance organization are beginning to see the value of even more teaming and better compensation for the partners. So again, historically, Masergy sales have all been partner led, and therefore it's literally just a channel integrated program. So they've got these direct sellers who work hand in glove with the partners to close these deals on the Masergy side of the business. we've adopted a lot of that kind of similar philosophy. And as I mentioned, just recently increased our teaming percentages so that on both the Masergy and the Comcast side of the business, we're now paying 100% to the partner on any teamed opportunity that includes advanced solutions. On the Comcast side, if it's a network only deal, we do ask the partners to take a haircut, but it's only 15% at this point, whereas previously it was 75% on both types of deals. So we've raised the commission so that we're commensurate with what's been paid historically on the Masergy side.
All right, good to hear. I always hate to throw out the R word, Carrie, for fear that I make it come true. But with all the talk of a recession, what are your expectations for the channel in the coming months to a year?
That's a great question, Craig. I've been talking to a lot of our partners, just trying to get a sense for what they're expecting in 2023. And I think it's probably fair to say that we're heading into some sort of a recession. I mean, that seems to be the consensus among most of the, kind of Fortune 500 leadership, is that we'll see something. We actually had one of our analysts on my team call the other day, and his expectation was that, Comcast is also expecting one, but we believe it'll be relatively short and not too deep. So, at a very high level, we're kind of bracing for a little bit of a downturn. I can tell you though that the partners are very, very optimistic. I would say guardedly, but in a very positive fashion. I had one of the leaders of one of the big TSDs tell me, look, we've historically done very well when there's change. Just about any kind of change creates opportunity. And with the broad portfolio that the TSDs and the partner community has, there's always an opportunity for them to make a pivot. So I think the best example I can give you is back in 2020, kind of when the pandemic first hit, Comcast struggled a little bit on the SMB side of our business. I mean, you probably recall all of the various restaurants and retail shops were basically shut down for a period of time. Nobody was really looking to enhance their infrastructure there. So we took a bit of a hit that second quarter of 2020. By the same token, the broader partner community, I think, did very, very well because they kind of pivoted away from selling connectivity and basic services to things more like collaboration tools, work from home, solutions, things of that nature. UCaaS, CCaaS really took off during that time frame. So I think for the broad partner community, and frankly for Comcast, now that we've got a more established kind of advanced solutions portfolio, we're expecting to do very, very well in the enterprise. I think one of the things I've also been hearing is that a number of large enterprises are really taking a hard look at their IT and telecom spend. And one of the things that we expect is there's going to be a lot of vendor consolidation, among the enterprise customer segment. But we really believe we're very well positioned to be one of those providers that they kind of, consolidate that spend around.
Carrie, great catching up with you, getting caught up on everything at Comcast Business and Masergy. Thanks for joining me on Channel Futures TV today.
You're very welcome, Craig. It was great to join you today. Have a good day.